Grace Slick is an American singer, songwriter, artist, and former model, best known as one of the lead singers of the rock groups The Great Society, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, and Starship, as well as for her work as a solo artist from the mid-1960s to the mid-1990s. Early life: Grace Barnett Wing was born October 30, 1939 in Highland Park, Illinois, to Ivan W. Wing, of Norwegian and Swedish descent, and Virginia, a direct descendant of passengers of the Mayflower. In 1948 her brother Chris was born. Her father, working in the investment banking sector for Weedon & Company, was transferred several times when she was a child, and in addition to the Chicago area she lived in Los Angeles and San Francisco before her family finally settled in the affluent suburb of Palo Alto, California, south of San Francisco, in the early 1950s. She attended Palo Alto Senior High School before switching to Castileja High School, a private all-girls school in Palo Alto. Following graduation she attended Finch College in New York from 1957 to 58, and the University of Miami in Coral Gables, Florida, from 1958 to 59. The Great Society. Slick's music career started in 1964 in San Francisco when she and then-husband Jerry Slick formed their own band, influenced by the Beatles as well as by a performance by the freshly formed Jefferson Airplane at the Matrix, and who, Slick realized, maintained an impressive revenue in comparison to her earnings as a model while having fun performing. Grace and Jerry Slick and Jerry's brother Darby Slick and other friends named themselves the Great Society after the social reform program of the same name, beginning during the autumn of 1965 and by early 1966 becoming a popular psychedelic act in the Bay Area. By the summer of 1966 the Great Society was releasing one single in San Francisco, a precursor to the future Jefferson Airplane success Somebody to Love, which was written by Darby. Grace provided vocals, guitar, piano and recorder and co-wrote a majority of the band's songs with her brother-in-law. Jefferson Airplane. That autumn Jefferson Airplane's singer-signed Tolly Anderson left the band to start a family, and Jack Cassidy asked Slick to join them. Slick stated that she joined the Airplane because it was run in a professional manner, unlike the Great Society. She took two compositions from the Great Society with her, White Rabbit, which she is purported to have written in an hour, and Somebody to Love, both of which went on to become hits and to appear on Rolling Stone's Top 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. Though both songs were first performed by the Great Society, their versions of the songs were much different. The Great Society's rendering of White Rabbit featured an oboe solo by Slick. With Slick on board, the Airplane began recording new music, and they took on a psychedelic direction from their former folk rock. By 1967, Surrealistic Pillow and the singles taken from it were great successes, and Jefferson Airplane became one of the most popular bands in the country. Slick earned a position as one of the most prominent female rock musicians of her time. Other songs she recorded with Jefferson Airplane include Two Heads, Lather, and Greasy Heart. In 1968, Slick performed Crown of Creation on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in blackface and ended the performance with a Black Panther fist. In an appearance on a 1969 episode of The Dick Cavett Show, she became the first person to say motherfucker on live television during a performance of We Can Be Together by Jefferson Airplane. Jefferson Starship and Beyond. After Jefferson Airplane terminated, Slick along with other bandmates formed Jefferson Starship and began a string of solo albums with Manhole, followed by Dreams, Software, and Welcome to the Wrecking Ball. Manhole also featured keyboardist-bassist Pete Sears, who later joined the original Jefferson Starship in 1974. Sears and Slick penned several early Jefferson Starship songs together, including Hyperdrive, and Play on Love. Dreams, which was produced by Ron Frangipane and incorporated many of the ideas she encountered attending 12-step meetings, is the most personal of her solo albums and was nominated for a Grammy Award. The song Do It the Hard Way from Dreams is one example of Slick's music at the time. Slick was nicknamed the Chrome Nun by David Crosby, who also referred to Paul Korntner as Baron von Talbooth. Their nicknames were used as the title of an album she made with bandmates Paul Korntner and David Freiberg entitled Baron von Talbooth and the Chrome Nun. Alcoholism. During Jefferson Starship's 1978 European tour, Slick's alcoholism became a problem for the band. The group had to cancel the first night in Germany because she was too intoxicated to perform, causing the audience to riot. She performed the next night with the band but was so inebriated she could not sing properly but began to attack the audience, mocking the country for losing World War II, and groping both female audience members and bandmates. The next day she left the group. That same year she was dragged off a San Francisco game show for abusing the contestants. She was admitted to a detoxification facility at least twice, once during the 1970s at Duffy's in Napa Valley, and once in the 1990s with daughter, China. Slick publicly has acknowledged her alcoholism, discussed her rehabilitation experiences, and commented on her use of LSD, marijuana and other substances in her autobiography, various interviews and several celebrity addiction and recovery books including The Courage to Change by Dennis Holey, and The Harder They Fall by Gary Stromberg and Jane Merrill. Starship. During the 1980s, while Slick was the only former Jefferson Airplane member in Starship, the band went on to score 3 chart-topping successes with We Built This City, Sarah, and Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. Despite the success, Slick since has spoken negatively about the experience and the music. She left the group again in 1988, shortly after the release of No Protection. In 1989 Slick, and her former Jefferson Airplane band members, reformed the group, released a reunion album, and made a successful tour. Personal life. Slick has been married twice, to Gerald Jerry Slick, a cinematographer, from 1961 to 1971, then to Skip Johnson, a Jefferson Starship lighting designer, from 1976 to 1994. She has one child, a daughter, China Wing Korntner. China's father is former Jefferson Airplane guitarist, Paul Korntner, with whom Slick had a relationship from 1969 to 1975. During her hospital stay after the baby's birth, Slick sarcastically told one of the attending nurses that she intended to name the child God, with a lowercase g, as she wished for the child to be humble. The nurse took Slick seriously, and her report of the incident caused a minor stir, as well as the creation of a rock and roll urban legend. Legal disputes. Slick and Tricia Nixon, former President Richard Nixon's daughter, are alumni of Finch College. Grace was invited to a tea party for the alumni at the White House in 1969. She invited the political activist, Abby Hoffman, to be her escort and planned to spike President Richard Nixon's tea with 600 micrograms of LSD. The plan was thwarted when they were prevented from entering after being recognized by White House security personnel, as Slick had been placed on an FBI blacklist. Slick later speculated that she only received the invitation because it was addressed to Grace Wing, and that she would have never been invited if the Nixons had known that Grace Wing was actually the anti-establishment rocker Grace Slick. In 1971, after a long recording session, she crashed her car into a wall near the Golden Gate Bridge while racing with Jorma Kaukonen. She suffered a concussion and later used the incident as the basis of her Never Argue with a German If You're Tired or European song, which appears on the Bark album. While Slick had troubles with the law while performing as a part of Jefferson Airplane, she was arrested at least 4 times for what she has referred to as TUI, and drunk mouth. While the charges were DUI, the 4 arrests mentioned in her autobiography occurred when she was not inside a vehicle. The first occurred after an argument in the car with then-partner Paul Korntner, who became tired of bickering, pulled the car keys from the ignition, and tossed them through the car window onto someone's front lawn. While Slick crawled around on the lawn looking for the keys, a police officer arrived and asked what was happening. Her response did not amuse the officer, and she was taken to jail. The second occurred after Slick had neglected to check the oil level in her car engine and flames began leaping out from under the hood. When an officer arrived, and asked what was happening, her response that time was less amusing and more sarcastic. With her car ablaze, it seemed obvious to her what was happening. As a result of her quip, she was taken to the Marin County Jail. The third was after an officer encountered her sitting against a tree trunk in the backwoods of Marin County drinking wine, eating bread, and reading poetry. When the officer asked what she was doing, her sarcastic response got her another ride to the Marin County Jail. The singer was also reportedly arrested in 1994 for assault with a deadly weapon after pointing an unloaded gun at a police officer. She alleged that the officer had come onto her property without explanation. Later life, Slick left Starship during 1988. After a brief Jefferson Airplane reunion until the following year, she retired from the music business. During a 1998 interview with VH1 on a Behind the Music documentary featuring Jefferson Airplane, Slick, who was never shy about the idea of getting old, stated that the main reason she retired from the music business was that all rock and rollers over the age of 50 look stupid and should retire. In a 2007 interview, she repeated her belief that you can do jazz, classical, blues, opera, country until you're 150, but rap and rock and roll are really a way for young people to get that anger out, and it's silly to perform a song that has no relevance to the present or expresses feelings you no longer have. Even so, she has made a couple of appearances over the years with Paul Korntner's revamped version of Jefferson Starship when the band has played in Los Angeles, the most recent being a post-9/11 gig during which she came on the stage initially covered in black from head to toe in a makeshift burqa, which she removed to reveal a covering bearing an American flag and the words "No Fear." Her statement to fans on the outfit was, "The outfit is not about Islam, it's about repression. This flag is not about politics, it's about liberty." After retiring from music, she began painting and drawing. She has done many renditions of her fellow 1960s musicians, such as Janis Joplin, Jerry Garcia, and others. In 2000 she began displaying and selling her artwork. She attends many of her art shows across the United States. She has generally refrained from engaging in the music business, although she did perform on Knock Me Out, a track from In Flight, the 1996 solo debut from former Four Non Blondes singer, and friend of Daughter China, Linda Perry. The song was also on the soundtrack to The Crow, City of Angels. In a 2001 USA Today article, she said, "I'm in good health and people want to know what I do to be this way. I don't eat cheese, I don't eat duck. The point is I'm vegan." However, she admitted she's not strict vegan, because I'm a hedonist pig. If I see a big chocolate cake that is made with eggs, I'll have it. Slick released her autobiography, Somebody to Love? A rock and roll memoir, in 1998 and narrated an abridged version of the book as an audiobook. A biography, Grace Slick, The Biography, by Barbara Rose, was released in 1980 and is currently out of print. In 2006 Slick suffered from diverticulitis. After initial surgery, she had a relapse requiring further surgery and a tracheotomy. She was placed in an induced coma for 2 months and then had to learn to walk again. Also in 2006, Slick gave a speech at the inauguration of the new Virgin America airline, which had named their first aircraft Jefferson Airplane. In 2008, Slick contributed vocals to the hidden track of the latest Jefferson Starship release, Jefferson's Tree of Liberty. In 2010, Slick co-wrote Edge of Madness with singer Michelle Mangin to raise money for remediation efforts following the BP oil spill. Visual art. After retiring, and after a house fire, divorce, and breakup, Slick began drawing and painting animals, mainly to amuse herself and because doing so made her happy during a difficult period in her life. Soon thereafter, she was approached about writing her memoir, which ultimately became Somebody to Love. A rock and roll memoir. Her agent saw her artwork and asked her to do some portraits of some of her various contemporaries from the rock and roll genre to be included in the autobiography. Hesitant at first, she eventually agreed because she found she enjoyed it, and color renditions of Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and Jerry Garcia appeared in the completed autobiography. An AOE Alice in Wonderland Euro-themed painting and various other sketches are scattered throughout the book. Her paintings of Jorma Kaukonen and Jack Cassidy were used for the cover art of the album The Best of Hot Tuna. Though Slick has been drawing and painting since she was a child, She admits to not being able to multitask and therefore did not do much of it while she was focusing on her musical career. A notable exception is the cover art of her first solo album, Manhole, which she signed Child Typod Art by Grace. Slick is not bound by any specific style or medium in her production of visual art and has no interest in developing one. She uses acrylic paints, canvas, pen, ink, scratchboard, pastels, and pencil. Many of her works are mixed media. Her styles range from the Childrena unregistered trademark bookish OE Alice in Wonderland themes to the realism of the rock and roll portraits and scratchboards of animals to the minimalist inkwash-styled nudes to a variety of other subjects and styles. The best-selling prints and originals are, not surprisingly, her various renditions of the White Rabbit and the portraits of her colleagues in the music industry. In 2006, the popularity of her OE Alice in Wonderland works led to a partnership with Dark Horse Comics, Incorporated. That resulted in the release of stationery and journals with the OE Wonderland motif. While critics have variously panned and praised her work, Slick seems indifferent to the criticism. She views her visual artistry as just another extension of the artistic temperament that landed her in the music scene in the first place, as it allows her to continue to produce art in a way that does not require the physical demands of appearing on a stage nightly or traveling with a large group of people. She attends many of her art gallery shows across the United States, sometimes attending over 30 shows in a year. While she says she enjoys talking with the people who come to her art shows, she is not a fan of the traveling involved, particularly the flying. At most of her art shows, those who purchase a piece of her art get a photo with Slick, an opportunity to chat, and a personalized autograph on the back of the piece that has been purchased. Legacy: Slick was one of the first female rock stars, alongside her close contemporary Janis Joplin, and therefore an important figure in the development of rock music in the late 1960s. Her distinctive vocal style and striking stage presence exerted influence on other female performers including Stevie Nicks, Patti Smith and Siouxsie Sioux from Siouxsie and the Banshees. Artistic accomplishments: Slick's longevity in the music business helped her to earn a rather unusual distinction. The oldest female vocalist on a Billboard Hot 100 chart-topping single. We Built This City reached #1 on November 16, 1985, shortly after her 46th birthday. The previous record was age 44 for Tina Turner, with 1984's #1 smash, What's Love Got to Do With It? Turner turned 45 2 months after the song topped the charts. Slick broke her own record in April 1987 at age 47 when Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now topped the U.S. charts. Her record stood for 12 years but was ultimately broken by Cher, who was 53 in 1999 when Believe hit #1. Slick did vocals for a piece known as Jazzy Spies, a series of animated shorts about the numbers 2 through 10, which aired on Sesame Street. The segment for the number 2 appeared in the first episode of the first season of Sesame Street, November 10, 1969. She was nominated for a Grammy Award in 1981 as Best Rock Female Vocalist for her solo album Dreams. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996. In 1993, she narrated the Stephen King short story You Know They Got a Hell of a Band on his Nightmares and Dreamscapes audiobook. She was ranked number 20 on VH1's 100 Greatest Women of Rock and Roll in 1999. Discography: solo albums, compilation, The Best of Grace Slick, With the Great Society, conspicuous only in its absence, How It Was, Born to be Burned, With Jefferson Airplane, Surrealistic Pillow, After Bathing at Baxter's, Crown of Creation, Bless Its Pointed Little Head, Volunteers, Bark, Long John Silver, 30 Seconds Over Winterland, Early Flight, Jefferson Airplane, With Jefferson Starship, Dragonfly, Red Octopus, Spitfire, Earth, Modern Times, Winds of Change, Nuclear Furniture, With Starship, Knee Deep in the Hoopla, No Protection, With Paul Korntner, Blows Against the Empire US number 20 Sunfighter US number 89, Baron von Talbooth and the Chrome Nun US number 120, Planet Earth Rock and Roll Orchestra US number 201, Guest Appearances, If I Could Only Remember My Name, Papa John Creech, Rolling Thunder, Seastones, Throwing Down, Heart, Back to Avalon, Deep Space/Virgin Sky, In Flight, Windows of Heaven, Jefferson's Tree of Liberty, The Edge of Madness. References. External links: Jefferson Airplane official website, Grace Slick at the Internet Movie Database, episode of biography about Grace Slick, Grace Slick on NNDB, Aerial Arts, Grace Slick's U.S. art distributor, Counterculture meets Malculture for Grace Slick, Grace Slick interviewed on the Pop Chronicles.